For a long time, you didn't believe she was dead, music. I couldn't accept that she was no longer with us. Part of me thinks she would never do this to us, but another part thinks it might all be part of a plan. What if the things you thought you knew about where Princess Diana was buried were not really true? The world has questions that the royal family never wanted to be answered. Shock waves of music have gone through Buckingham Palace, across the peaceful grounds of Alorp, and into the minds of millions of people who have never stopped missing the people's princess. This story goes deeper, darker, and more emotional than you could ever think. There are shocking security breaches, secret renovations, and questions about what's inside her sealed coffin. People are also arguing about who can visit her grave. Join us. Each second of music is important. The choice about the burial that went against royal tradition and shocked everyone. It's important to understand how strange the choice was to bury Princess Diana where she is buried before we talk about what is happening now. This choice went against almost all of the rules that the British monarchs had been following for hundreds of years. Diana's grave is on an island in the grounds of Althorp Park, which has been the Spencer family home for many years. Before she was buried, the Bishop of Peterborough blessed the ground. Just this one element is amazing. It wasn't a royal church. Westminster, Abbey, Windsor Castle, or any other large holy place where the bodies of British royals have been buried for 1,000 years. Princess Diana was the most photographed, loved, and mourned woman of the 20th century. She was put to rest in a private country estate, away from the pomp and circumstance, the crowds, and the palace, which many people felt had let her down. Diana, Princess of Wales, was buried on a small island in the middle of the beautiful round oval lake that Toulon built in 1868 after she died in 1997. Think about this. A Victorian-era artificial lake that was meant to be a family's playground for fun, and games became the permanent home of a worldwide famous person. It was even more difficult to make this choice because Princess Diana was not buried in the family vault in the nearby town of Great Braunton as had been planned. 20 generations of Spencers had been buried in Spencer Chapel for more than 500 years. But her brother decided to bury her on the island for safety reasons. In 2017, Earl Charles Spencer told the BBC that he changed this to keep her safe. He thought it was right to bury her in Elor Park, which was far away, because his sister wanted her boys, William and Harry, to be able to visit her alone. But interesting that the royal family didn't argue against this choice. Not demanding a royal burial site is thought to have shown a lot of tension between the House of Windsor and the woman who had become more beloved than any of them. Many historians think that the fact that she was buried away from royal land says a lot about this. What was really in Diana's casket? The little things the house didn't want you to notice. Now, we're going to talk about something very personal that isn't often talked about: music. No one in the royal family picked the music that was put in Princess Diana's coffin. Instead, it was people who loved her who did it. There was a lot of emotional power in these choices. Diana wore a black long-sleeved Catherine Walker-designed 34-length wool party dress that she had picked out weeks before she died. She also had black shoes and pantyhose on. As a touching gift, rosary beads that were given to her by Mother Teresa were put in her hands. It had been only 5 days since Diana's death. It was also found in her purse that a picture of her 2 boys, William and Harry, playing music. Take a moment to think about that. Mother Teresa's rosary beads were buried with Diana. Mother Teresa died just 5 days before Diana. Also, the picture of her boys, who were the anchors and music of her life, went with her forever. As is customary for royals, Diana was buried in a lead-line coffin. She was no longer royal because she had divorced Prince Charles, but a royal coffin was chosen because she was so well known and loved by the British people. One of the big ironies in Diana's story is shown by this event. Since she lost her HR music title after her divorce, she wasn't really a princess when she died. Still, she had a royal ceremony funeral, a royal coffin with a lid, and caused a grief around the world that no other working royal had ever caused. Her title was taken by the palace, but the world gave her something much more powerful: life. The royal standard that had been over the coffin was taken off at the service. This was a small but important detail. There was music, a debate about how truly royal she was even after she died. The monument is like no other on earth. The island, the lake, and the path of 36 oak trees. As soon as you know why she was buried at Althorpe, you can enjoy the stunning beauty of the music and the reason behind the setting. And it's easy to see why Diana's music fans around the world are so excited about the latest news about this site. Diana's tomb is on an island in the grounds of Althorpe Park, in a lake with a round shape called the Round Oval. The circle is reached by a path lined with 36 oak trees, one for each year of her life. There are 4 black swans swimming in the lake, which is full of water lilies, music. Diana loved these flowers, along with white roses. The summer house, which used to be in the gardens of the Admiralty House in London, and is now a memorial to Diana, is on the southern edge of the round circle. 1 oak tree was planted for every year she lived, making them a living memorial. As you walk toward her grave, you remember all the years she lived, laughed, cried, and changed the world through her music. It's not like anything else. Music shows sadness and love in a way that no other place in Britain, not even Westminster Abbey or Windsor Castle, can. The temple is also in Althorpe. It is a building in the Grecian style that was named after Diana and has had 2 tablets, music, on it since July 1998. A quote from Diana is on one of the tablets. "Music is the only thing that makes me happier than trying to help people who are weak. It's a goal and an important part of my singing life. It's like fate. If someone is in trouble, they can call me and I'll run to where they are." Those words, music, still hit you hard, don't they? Many things in the world seem broken, but her words carved in stone, music, stand for a promise she made and kept, and her boys are still trying to keep. A lot of love went into painting the Hain Memory Temple again in June 2025. In an online post, Charles Spencer gave fans a close-up look at the writing on the walls. Some of these are a quote from Diana herself and a line from Charles Spencer's funeral speech for his sister at Westminster Abbey in 1997. Then, music, the big news that made everyone crazy on social media. Earl Charles Spencer wrote on Instagram that the Althorpe House and grounds would be open to the public from July 3, 2025 to August 31, 2025. He said it was more than just an event because it gave people a chance to hear 500 years of family history, art, and nature. It was a call to travel for Diana's fans all over the world. Break-ins, fire, and the fight to protect her final resting place were a nightmare for security. This is the part of the story where things really start to scare me. The place where Princess Diana is buried has not been quiet. People who promised to protect her in life are now trying to protect her even after she has died. They are really in danger, and the threats are sad. Earl Spencer has stated that 4 people have tried to break into the family home. A farmhouse on the land was destroyed in what is thought to have been an arson attack earlier in 2025. Spencer told his ex-girlfriend that he was shocked to hear that thieves burned down one of Althorp House's farmhouses last night. Luckily, no one was there at the time. 4 attempts to break into and set fire to the home where one of the most famous women in history is buried are very scary. The danger has always been there for the Spencer family, which is exactly why Charles Spencer chose to bury Diana on that island, which is not what most people would do. Music. You can only get to this remote spot by boat, so it is very private and safe. The lake is a moat, and the island is a castle. Some determined musicians have still tried to break into her monument, even though that hasn't stopped them. This is the music that comes with being Diana. Even when she dies, she can't be at peace. In 2014, some tourists and photographers were worried about how overgrown the island was. People were shocked to learn that the world's most famous woman was buried in a place that didn't look like a well-kept royal monument, but rather one that seemed incredibly wild and unkempt. It feels very right that the Spencer family music decided not to overpowder coddle the site. Diana was always honest, real, and more true to herself than the rules of royal protocol let her be. A somewhat wild island with black swans and water lies, all around it feels much more like who she was than any marble statue ever could. But the security problems and efforts to break in have made people wonder if the site needs more music protection, more surveillance, or even, and this is where rumors have started to spread, maybe even changes to the memorial itself. Music, William, Harry, and the sad experience of visiting the grave of their mother. The most moving part of the story about Diana's tomb might be how the music affects her boys when they visit. They have gone on their own and with their partners. These visits, which are talked about in Harry's memoir and in many news stories, show that his sadness hasn't gone away despite the passing of time. In July 2017, 20 years after Diana's death, on the same day that she would have been 56 years old, the 2 princes went to a special service at her grave. The Duchess of Cambridge, Prince George, and Princess Charlotte were all at the service, which was led by Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby. They went back to that place after 20 years. They stood by the lake and looked across the water to the island where their mother was buried. Even though William was involved in the court world and Harry was pulling away from it more and more, they were all grieving at the same time, even if it was only for a moment. It's been years since William and Harry both paid their respects at the grave of their mother. Charles married Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, in 2022, and William married Catherine, Princess of Wales, in 2011. Harry wrote about the event in his best-selling book, Spare. I helped you get into the boat. Even though it shook, I quickly stepped to the middle and rowed it in time. I took up the oars while she found a place in the back of the boat. That picture makes me feel both sad and sweet at the same time. A prince who is no longer close to his family is rowing his American wife across a lake to visit the grave of his mother. It was just a man with oars and a sadness that would never go away. There were no cameras or rules. In his book, Spare, Prince Harry also wrote that he wanted music to be buried with his mother, but it was thought to be impossible. Since then, he has decided that his body will be buried at Frogmore House. This small detail, which he only mentioned in passing in his memoir, might be the saddest line in the whole thing. It shows how much he wants something that he can never have. The boy who lost his mother when he was 12 years old and has spent his whole adult life trying to get back to her. It was the news that shocked everyone. What's happening at Diana's tomb music and why it's important. We are now in the middle of everything. Royal fans and researchers all over the world were shocked by the news, the renovations, and the choices made about where Princess Diana will rest. A statement about her memorial site stated, "The oval lake, where Diana, Princess of Wales, was laid to rest on September 6th, Music, 1997, is undergoing a major redesign to honor her memory. It will be finished by the 20th anniversary of her death in August, Music, 2017. This renovation marked the first significant change to her resting place, but it wasn't the last. In June 2025, Charles Spencer shared a photo of Diana's Memorial Music Temple at Althorpe House, saying, "Beautifully repainted this week in the Memorial Temple at Althorpe. It's great to see how nice it looks for summer." Music. This drawing was more than just maintenance.